The crisis. A company on the edge. Imagine inheriting a company with $5 million in revenue and $11 million in past due sitting in your books. One customer. 89 cents of every dollar your company earns comes from that single relationship. If they slow pay, you can't make payroll. If they leave, there is no company. That was the situation one executive walked into when he took over as president of a small RFID manufacturer. What happened next is a masterclass in corporate rescue, strategy, and disciplined growth. One customer. 89 cents of every dollar your company earns comes from that single relationship. If they slow pay, you can't make payroll. If they leave, there is no company. That was the situation one executive walked into when he took over as president of a small RFID manufacturer. What happened next is a masterclass in corporate rescue, strategy, and disciplined growth. Develop the plan, uncover everything, full transparency. Why do we have 11 million in past due? How did we get here? Review documents, financial pressure close-up, $11 million in past due on $5 million in revenue, and 89% concentration. One customer. Act 1. Stabilize. Gather the team together, diagnosing the root causes. Before you can fix a problem, you have to understand it. The first move wasn't to call the customer and spark further concern. It was to audit everything. Operations, invoicing processes, delivery performance, and the nature of the commercial relationship itself. Was the past due caused by supplier delivery, capacity, process-related challenges? By evaluating the challenges and how they made up the problem, only then can you have a path forward. It was all the above, and more. We needed to work on several parallels. The diagnosis determines the cure. In this case, it was a combination of operational and supplier delays, and a customer relationship that had drifted without governance. The prescription: rebuild accountability from the inside out, then renegotiate the commercial terms. Our moves became very clear. Executive reviewing spreadsheets, operations audit, manufacturing whiteboard, problem analysis team meeting, root cause, supply chain review. At times, in order to get to the solution, the team must split up to focus on results, clearing 11 numbers past due in 6 months, re-layout, inefficient processes to gain capacity, re-qualify and quote better service suppliers, 6 months. That's how long it took to recover 11 million in past due receivables. More than double the company's entire annual revenue. This wasn't done by sending angry emails. It required structured negotiation, a clear manufacturing plan tied to ongoing business, and, critically, fixing the operational issues that had given the customer reassurance that the worst was behind us. When you solve the customer's underlying problem, you remove their excuse and more business can potentially come from it. By month 6, the books were clean. The company could breathe again. Calendar months financial recovery graph, rising $11 million orders past due delivered. 6 months, Act 2, expand the concentration risk problem and why it's fatal. Here's the uncomfortable truth most small manufacturers don't want to face. One large customer is not a business, it's a dependency. When 89% of your revenue comes from a single source, that customer doesn't just buy your product, they own your company's future. They set your terms, control your capacity planning, and hold leverage in every negotiation. The $11 million past due situation was a symptom of this deeper structural problem. Even after the receivables were resolved, the company remained dangerously exposed. Something had to change at the portfolio level. Single point of failure, concept business, risk dependency, fragile supply chain, one domino, falling leverage, negotiation, imbalance, 89% revenue from one customer, ill structural vulnerability, growing the anchor plus landing 2 new industry customers. The strategy wasn't to abandon the anchor customer. It was to grow them while simultaneously building alongside them. The anchor relationship deepened. Better service, better product, expanded scope. At the same time, the team went to market within the same RFID industry and closed 2 additional customers. Now the risk was spreading. 3 customers, 1 industry. No single customer exceeded 38% of the top line. That's not just a revenue milestone. It's a governance milestone. The company had moved from dependency to diversification. Growing for success sales team closing deal, new customer onboarding B2B business development pipeline, RFID technology, manufacturing revenue, diversification chart, 3 customers, no single account above 38%, Act 3, transform, building a technology roadmap for new verticals, diversification within one industry only goes so far. The next move required vision. Create a technology roadmap that could open entirely new sales verticals. This meant R&D investment, capability building, and the discipline to develop products for markets the company wasn't currently serving. 2 new verticals were identified, resourced, and launched. Each one brought its own customer base, its own revenue stream, and its own protection against a single-point failure. This is where the company stopped being a reactive manufacturer and became a proactive technology company. Technology roadmap strategy, R&D lab innovation, product development, whiteboard, new market expansion, globe, RFID technology applications, technology investment, 2 new sales verticals, $5 million to $51 million. The 3-year arc, by the end of year 3, the numbers told the story. Revenue had grown from $5 million to $51 million, a 10x increase in 36 months. $45 million in net new revenue, delivered under a single presidential tenure. The company that once couldn't cover its payroll if one customer delayed a check was now a global manufacturing force with multiple customers, multiple verticals, and a balanced portfolio where no single relationship could hold the business hostage. That is what disciplined, sequenced leadership looks like in practice. "10x growth success concept, executive leadership achievement, $5 million, $51 million, 36 months, $45 million net new revenue." The 3 leadership lessons. So what can leaders take from this story? First, triage before strategy. The $11 million in past due had to be resolved before any growth plan could work. You cannot build on a broken foundation. Second, solve the structural problem, not just the symptom. The past due was a symptom of concentration risk. Until that was addressed at the portfolio level, the company remained fragile. Third, growth requires investment in the future. The technology roadmap wasn't free. It required capital, time, and conviction. But without it, the company would have plateaued at the first level of diversification. Sequence matters. Stabilize, diversify, then transform. Leadership lessons. Blackboard business strategy numbered steps, executive coaching insights, turnaround management concept. Foundation, building metaphor. 1. Triage. 2. Diversify. 3. Transform. Call to action. If you're running a business with heavy customer concentration or sitting on receivables that are aging past due, the playbook exists. And this story proves it works. The first step is always the same. Stop avoiding the hard conversation and start diagnosing the real problem. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe for more case studies on executive leadership, business turnarounds, and the strategic decisions that separate companies that survive from those that scale. Drop a comment below. What's the biggest concentration risk you've seen in your industry? Grab one or all my books and learn more. Subscribe today.